Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest logistics business webinar. Today's event is called Digital ROI for Freight Forwarders. I think it's an interesting topic that should capture the attention of everyone in logistics, particularly those in freight forwarding. We're going to be looking at how to maximize ROI whilst digitizing. So I'd like to introduce to you straight away our participants in today's webinar. First of all, we have Julian Alvarez. He's the CEO of Logixboard. And secondly, we have Mike Levy, who is the General Manager of Corten Logistics. So welcome to you both. Thank you for joining me today. And before we get going, let's have a little, let's know a little bit more about you, Julian, please.
Perfect. My name is Julian Alvarez. I am the CEO at Logixboard, based between Seattle and Miami. We are a customer experience platform for freight forwarding companies and customs brokers, operate globally with customers in 17 different countries, a team of about 90 people, venture-backed. We raised about $45 million last year and growing rather quickly and working with amazing customers like Mike and trying to add as much value as possible to the industry. I think digitalization in today's world is a very loaded word. So excited to chat a little bit more about that and the ROI of technology in today's call.
Great. And Mike, how about you?
Sure. I'm Mike Levy. I'm the General Manager at Corten Logistics, based out of London. We have roughly 50 people scattered around the globe, satellite offices all over the place. I guess my job is to look for opportunities of improvement, to do things faster, safer, more financially viable, all while maintaining service levels.
All right, great. And I suppose it's remiss of me not to introduce myself. I'm Peter McLeod, your moderator for the day. I'm the news editor of Logistics Business. So I think really I'd like to kick off with you, Julian, just to tell me a little bit more about Logixboard, some of its capabilities, its history, its reach, that sort of thing, please.
Sure. So the company was started in 2016, really with the premise that digitalization was really going to start impacting the market deeply and that freight forwarding companies were going to have to adjust the level of service that they were offering their customers with much better technology that existed at that point in time. I think what we identified was that all freight forwarding companies have some sort of internal system, transportation management system, whether it's CargoWise or Descartes or Magaya or BlueJay or whatever have you. And really those systems are built for the internal operators. So Logixboard's kind of core philosophy is building for the freight forwarder's customer, essentially their shippers, and helping the freight forwarding company deliver the best customer experience possible. In today's world, really to compete with some of the online freight forwarding companies that have come to market, you have the Flexports of the world. In the UK, you have Beacon and Send Cargo. In South America, you now have Nowports and other companies, but these online freight forwarding companies are popping all over the world, raising a lot of venture money and coming at it from a technology-first approach. And our job is to level the playing field, help traditional freight forwarding companies deliver the best customer experience possible and take advantage of technology, just how some of the online freight forwarding companies are doing it. At our kind of premise and core, we believe in time to value and getting our customers up and running as quickly as possible. So we build integrations into those operating systems so that we can extract that data, complement it with third-party data, and then help our customers deliver the best customer experience. We found that it helps them really capture new revenue from new logos, grow revenue with their existing customer base, and at the end of the day, just provide a better service and a better customer experience to grow their business. I think what Mike mentioned there of trying really carefully to focus on how to make things financially viable and how to grow the business in a healthy way is part of our mission as well. How can we help the companies that we partner up with achieve that with technology and not just continue to have to scale with more and more people as their business continues to grow?
And Mike, what was it about your business that sort of drew you towards the solution, the type of solution that Logixboard was able to provide? Was there a certain challenge that you were facing, or was there a certain enhancement you needed to make to take to the next level?
At Corten, we're always on the lookout for ways to, I guess, keep us at the spear point of innovation. That's one of the things that drew me to Corten. And I guess our service is what we sell to our customers. We don't have any vessels, we don't have any aircraft. So we're always looking for ways to simplify what is quite a difficult industry to understand. And I found through Logixboard, the way in which the information is presented to our clients, the way in which the interface pulls information from an information source that we already have by way of our operating system and presents it to the customers, it really, I was hoping initially that it would cut down on a lot of questions from my customers by way of giving them a mechanism to look at, to extract that information themselves. And thankfully, it seems to be doing that as is. As you know, logistics is 24/7 and business hours vary from country to country. And I know even of late, I've had 2 new key accounts come on board in the last week. And one of my contacts has a newborn. So as you can imagine, her working hours are a little obscure. And she couldn't be happier with the way in which she could get up-to-date information at 2 a.m. when she had a spare second to log on. And the best thing was she didn't need to call me to hassle me for it. She was able to log straight on, and the information I'd updated through the day in my system was right there. So that visibility and the ease of access to information is really what drew me to Logixboard.
Yeah. Can I add something there?
Certainly.
Perfect. And I honestly love that story, Mike. I think one of the things that we realized when we started the business is that there's so much complexity to freight forwarding into customs brokerage. And ultimately, your customers are paying you to abstract that complexity away, right? They're paying you to do a job and really to abstract it away. But there's also so much data. I think in today's world, we can often just provide people as much data as possible, and consuming data when we have short attention spans and really don't have the desire or the need to parse through a lot of just different data sources becomes really complex. So core for us is how do we take all that data and actually make it information that's consumable to the customer and that they can actually understand. I think we've tried really heavily to build kind of a mechanism that takes that data away, abstracts the complexity, and makes it really seamless to be able to understand. I think as customers in a business-to-business world, we're becoming accustomed of technology looking more like the technology that we use as home as well, and in our daily lives. Yeah. Like you have Uber, you have consumeration of technology, and we're trying to accomplish the same thing in a business-to-business space and make your customers as happy as possible. At the end of the day, that's our key goal. How do we make you look as best as possible to your customers, and how do we make them extremely happy with the service that you're offering?
So anticipating the answer to my question as being no, there is no such thing as a typical customer, would you describe Corten Logistics as a typical customer?
That's a great question. Look, I think for us, I think Corten is particularly unique in the fact that they focus really heavily on trying to figure out how can they leverage technology to really impact their business and to impact their customers, and have kind of, and Mike, you can attest to this, thought about digitalization pretty continuously. I think in some ways, the market in terms of digitalization is accelerating, but a lot of people are just starting in that journey, which it seems like Corten started it way before other people have. But generally speaking, our key target market or target customers are small and medium-sized freight forwarding companies, really, and customs brokers, regardless of geography. We're trying to build a platform where it is regardless of what operating system they use internally. But today, our key focus and the systems that we have integrations to are companies that use CargoWise One as their operating system, and companies that use Descartes products as well. that SMB and mid-market seems to be the gamut that we are the most successful at, and that we can partner up with to really make that digitalization process and that customer experience process successful.
And so, Mike, how did you come across Logixboard? Did they find you? Did you find them?
I think it was a bit of both, actually. We definitely approached the market and were initially somewhat overwhelmed by the options available to us out there. There's a lot of people that claim to be able to do a lot of things. Thankfully, through our interactions with Logixboard, we were able to quite quickly find a product that was personalized to our somewhat unique requirements. So it was actually much easier than I expected it to be.
Easier in terms of the implementation as well. What were they, any obstacles there to overcome that got ironed out on the way?
The implementation was very easy. The support has been very, very good. Be that I can speak with someone every day if need be, but also I'm constantly getting updates by way of reports, updates by way of possible improvements to the system that may be of benefit to us, but also the feedback from my side with regards to how to tweak the system to capture unique bits of information for varying client requirements has also been received really well and implemented very quickly.
Good. That makes me happy. Mike, how long did it take you to get up and running with our system once we kind of entered an agreement to work together?
Not very long at all. Not very long at all. It would be maybe a matter of weeks, if not days.
Yeah.
So I mean, the beauty of it is all the information is already there. We already had all that data, and it was just a matter of it being mapped and being pulled through to look like how we wanted it to look like, with our logos to be there, with our color schemes to be there. It was quite a quick and painless process, thankfully.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. That makes me really happy. I wanted to kind of call out two things that you mentioned there. I think one is what we've been talking about. I think that time to value is so critical. And at the end of the day, like, freight forwarding companies are so busy in your day-to-day lives, especially in today's market. One of our key focuses has been, how do we get our customers up and running really quickly without disrupting their internal operations? I think you're trying to limit as much as possible the amount of change management that you have to implement internally, at least. There is change management when it comes to your customers. Like, how do you educate them on the fact that you're now going to give them an online system in which they can pull in data and take action 24/7? And there we try to partner up as much as possible with our customers. We've seen this playbook over and over and over. So I think we understand best practices. So I'm really glad that was successful. But the other thing that I wanted to call out was how overwhelmed you were when you went to market and actually started looking to solutions. And I think that's kind of a key component of today's market. There is so many solutions out there, but there's also so many pain points that freight forwarding companies need to try to clear through. And we often talk about it internally as there's different parts of the tech stack that a freight forwarding company needs to digitize, and the ROI value, really the value for a freight forwarder, is very different depending on what part of the tech stack they're trying to tackle. I think it all boils down from, you need to have an operating system that works really well. And thankfully, Mike, like, you were using CargoWise, it was its best in class system. After you have that operating system, which is where your operators live and breathe and kind of do their day-to-day activities, there's a lot of things that you can start to layer on. You have kind of internal automation, which is basically led by RPA, which is extracting data from documents. There's a lot of different providers in the market doing some really good stuff there. Actually, several in the UK that are UK based. And the value there, it's typically around efficiency. How can you find efficiency for your operation and leverage some sort of automation internally? You have analytics, you have all of this data that you're capturing. How can you layer on analytics to make better decisions? And we see a lot of customers using Power BI or Tableau internally. We have an analytics portal as well that can help with that, but there's also other analytic solutions. And then you have kind of the customer experience, which is where Logixboard has really focused on building a solution that is customer focused. And there, I think a lot of the value is around, again, generating revenue either from new accounts or from increasing share of wallet with your existing accounts. I just got back from Australia and I heard this really amazing story. One of our customers onboarded their biggest customer account first, and within a week, that customer had doubled the amount of business. They had taken business that they had with another freight forwarder and brought it back to our customers. So I think generally speaking, increasing revenue, but also providing some efficiency from reducing phone calls and emails. But I can imagine being in your shoes, going to market, seeing how many solutions there are, and then trying to parse through all that complexity. It's quite difficult. And I think there's a lot of education required in the market for freight forwarding companies to be able to parse through that and understand, how do we take a technology approach? How do we digitize? Where do we start and where do we focus on?
So, so your USPs must have jumped out, Julian, I guess, at the at the point where Mike was doing his research. You describe your offering as a white label product. Is that correct?
We do. I think, look, at the end of the day, like freight forwarding companies, it's a service business. Mike mentioned there, like they don't have a ton of assets. I mean, some people are getting into the, into the warehousing space, but it's a people-based business. It's services. You're trying to abstract complexity away from international shipping. Showing up to your customers and having a product that is an extension of your operation, that is branded to your operation, white labeled to your operation, that is really, really critical. And kind of what I was mentioning there and what Mike mentioned is like, everybody has a little bit different of a need that they have based on the data that they're trying to provide. So making sure that we can tailor to our customers' needs is really critical for us. So yes, white labeled, it's been premise of the company from the very beginning. This needs to feel and look like your product, because ultimately it is. But I think it also makes you much stickier with your customer base if the product is white labeled as well.
So I imagine, Mike, then the implementation brought a suite of enhancements to the way you go about business. What would you say there amongst them was the most important? Was it the sort of the visibility within the supply chain? Was it that of the movement of goods?
Absolutely, the visibility of in one screen. I mean, through my operating system, I can put in the relevant filters and I can bring it up, and it makes sense to me. But a client of mine might look at it and it might as well be in another language. What was extremely convenient about Logixboard is the way in which it presents that information. Julian has touched on once or twice thus far the way in which it doesn't draw everything. It draws the specific information that a customer might want the most. So the ease in which you're able to access the information on a single screen and at a glance is definitely, I'd say, the major selling point for me.
Yes, what uses all that data if you can't interpret it or it's not necessary? What so has that sort of given you how has it enhanced your business? Has it kind of freed up some of the time that was being previously invested in answering questions which can now be solved by the solution? Absolutely.
I think in today's society, people are getting more and more used to being able to access information without necessarily needing to talk to someone or wanting to talk to someone that much. Intranet portals, as Julian touched on, you look at your online banking or your Ubers, or menu logs, people are able to get what they want when often they don't want to talk to anyone. And by giving people a mechanism in which they can access the information without asking me, I don't want to say unnecessary questions, because I always love to hear from my customers, and I think I can always value add when I speak with them. But on those occasions where someone wants to check information for the second or third time in an hour because it's a shipment they're really concerned about, and they might feel like they're hassling me or hassling my operators, this gives them that freedom to view the information and know that it's as up to date as possible whenever they choose. And by doing that, yes, it definitely frees up my operators and myself so that we can concentrate on some of the more complex issues that, as I'm sure we're all aware, pop up every day.
Sure, rather than just reading off screens back down the telephone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just wondered, when we talked about implementation, is it entirely remote, Julian?
The implementation?
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely fully remote. Typically, on average, it takes us about 2 weeks to get a new customer up and running, fully integrated to their operating system. But we're able to do that remote, and frankly, with very little effort and time from the customer on that implementation. I'd say probably a few hours. I wanted to touch on something that Mike said as well, because freeing up your resources is so important to actually help you focus on the right things for your business. Like, the job that you all have on a day-to-day basis is so difficult and so complex. I think if you're spending time consistently reporting out information to your customers and answering phone calls and emails, it almost prevents your team from focusing on the things that are going to add as much value as possible to your customers. So that definitely resonated with me. But the second thing is, I think it builds a lot of trust with your customers also. If we take a look back at freight forwarding, 10, 15, 20 years ago, a lot of people operated on this black box where if your customers wanted access to information and wanted to understand what was happening, they were actually having to reach out to you direct. And I think that in some ways can erode trust, because people don't have visibility and understanding of what's happening. But in actually giving someone an online solution where they can pull in data at any point in time, I think that creates a lot of trust with your customers and ultimately provides a better service and makes them much stickier and much more loyal to your operation as well.
I don't think I'll be poking a stick into a wasp's nest to ask how your relationship is between your two organizations. How's the, beyond the implementation, how's the project been running? And, is communication level still strong and high? Question for either of you.
Look, sure. As I said, I'm quite well supported by the team at Logixboard. We are constantly, I'd say, even when things are going right, I'm still, which they do, which they are the majority of the time, thankfully. I'm sent quite handy reports on a regular basis, showing me my new users that might have dropped off, average logins per week. So the support is definitely there. I definitely feel like if there is something that I need to change, that I have the resources that Julian has given to Corten, that we're able to enact that change quite rapidly.
I appreciate that.
That's good to hear. And from your side, Julian, what kind of customer is Mike?
Yeah, incredible.
A demanding one.
No, it's been an incredible relationship. I think that there's kind of two things there, which is, we've raised substantial amount of venture capital, and a lot of that venture is deployed towards continuing to enhance the product. It goes heavily into R&D. There's a huge part there, which is our job is to keep you continuously ahead of the innovation curve of where others are going to be. So we rely, just how we're providing support and, trying to help you be as successful as possible. Like, we also depend on our customers, right? We depend on our customers to understand, like, what are the pain points that they have? What are the pain points that their customers have? That really guides our product roadmap. So I think it's a two-way relationship. we really focused when we started the business. We never wanted to be a software provider that came in and said, like, here's a piece of software, we'll talk to you in 3 years when we have to talk about a renewal. I think for us, the most important thing is how do we make our customers successful, but also how do we leverage their knowledge to continue to innovate and to build our offering. So it's a two-way street. It's been an incredible relationship. I am very happy that it's been a positive experience. I think across the board, what we're seeing with our customer base is that everybody's incredibly happy with the offering and just wanting more. I think people, once they start actually getting a taste of what a digital experience can offer, everybody wants us to build faster and faster, which I think those are the most important conversations to have, is at what speed can we deliver and how are we going to think about our product roadmap. But delivering the best kind of customer experience, that's been at the forefront. My brother and I started the company together. He actually runs the customer experience team, and it's something that we invest really heavily into, and we're incredibly proud of at Logixboard as well. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for that.
So you touched on the formation of the company then, and what was the sort of the pain point or the needs that you identified within this industry sector that caused you to launch Logixboard?
Probably very similar to what Mike was describing of, he has 50 operators in his company, is constantly inundated by phone calls, by emails. My brother and I started the company together. He worked at a large freight forwarding company in the US called Pilot Freight Services. They were recently acquired by Maersk, but it was a very similar story. It was like, listen, I need to give my customers visibility 24/7. When someone needed information at 2 a.m, they weren't logging into a system, they were calling his cell phone. When someone needed information on Sunday night at 5 p.m. when you were having family dinner, they were also calling. So generally just everybody, all of his customers trying to have visibility into what was happening, and there not being a good way to be able to provide that. While Juan was working at Pilot, he figured out something that worked with one of his key accounts, which was sending them an Excel table 3 times a day to keep them up to date. And that seemed to provide a lot of trust and value, but it was very difficult to do that with all his customers. So again, just showing up every morning to the office, 300 emails of people wondering, where's my stuff? And when we saw that, we were like, there has to be better software out there to solve this. We took a look at the market and found kind of the traditional software operators, the systems of record or the internal operating systems. But to Mike's point, like, he can use those, his operators can use those, but good luck offering that to your customer base. It's just like, they might as well be speaking another language. So how did, we really thought about how do we simplify this process as much as possible so that we can help any freight forwarding company be able to simplify that with a technology-led approach that is, at the end of the day, supported by people. We are huge believers there. I think the winning formula for freight forwarding companies is having great people internally, great technology as well. And in today's world, obviously capacity seems to be really key also.
I can somehow envisage you sitting with your brother in a social situation and his phone continually ringing and annoying you.
Oh yeah.
You're thinking
Sure.
I can fix this. Is that something you can relate to, Mike, that sort of story?
It is. And to an extent, I might miss the thrill of the occasional 2 o'clock in the morning phone call. It's like, okay, I've got so there is that, but as a whole, I'm glad to have moved past that. I mean, I've got family who have been in the industry for 50+ years, who've been in everything from aircraft charters to emergency response, and so I'm well and truly used to weird and wonderful phone calls at all times of day, interrupting birthdays, interrupting marriages. So it's
I'm sure
nice.
your family appreciates it, Mike.
Yeah. Yes, I'm hoping to not add to that story.
And so Julian, from your side then, what were the experiences that sort of prepared you to be able to succeed in bringing the Logixboard solution to life?
That's such a great question. I don't know if you were ever fully ready to start building something, like, honestly, but I think when you focus really heavily on understanding the customer pain points, that's probably what gives you the best experience possible. I think working with Juan, my brother, that was an absolute game changer for us. I think him having the experience of working in freight forwarding and living the pain points that freight forwarding companies were experiencing, that gave us a really keen understanding of the market. And we also took care to do a lot of discovery and a lot of validation internally as to, was this a pain point that everybody was experiencing? And we spent a lot of time trying to understand that. And I have to tell you, when we started the company and we would talk to folks and tell them, like, we want to build a customer experience platform, most people would tell us, you are absolutely crazy. Like, freight forwarding has operated the same way for a very long time. We are never going to change. And we kept telling people, like, listen, the Flexports of the world are coming. The industry is going to change. Customer expectations are going to change. And everybody would look at us like we were just nuts. And thankfully, we kind of placed the bet and decided that it was going to change. And ultimately, the decision has panned out to be the correct one. But it was really focusing on our customers, those pain points, and really trying to come at it from not being prescriptive as to what the solution would be, but actually listening to the customer challenges and trying to build solutions around that. That gave us the best advantage possible. And the second piece there, I think when you start a business, you're never fully prepared, as I mentioned. I think bringing great people into the company to help support our journey has been incredibly important as well. I think you build a business based on the people that you can have internally. And I think that's given us a huge edge in the market, is having great people that really care about our customers and really care about the problem that we're looking to solve.
A couple of things sprung to mind, actually. I'm thinking about the interface that the customer has. Could you just sort of talk me through that a little bit? Maybe a question for Mike here. Is it as user friendly as I hope you're going to tell me it is?
It definitely is. It definitely is.
My goodness.
So that's made my job a lot easier when it comes to bringing on new accounts. The whole demo that I have to run through with people would take me less than 5-10 minutes. And after that time, people feel comfortable enough to navigate the system themselves. It's quite intuitive. It really is. It's best in class that I've come across.
And are we talking about accessing the information through a browser or through a handheld device? Julian, what are the sort of technical requirements from the customer's perspective?
Most of what we've seen is people accessing through browser. It is kind of mobile responsive, but because people are using this really in their business function and to be able to track and understand what their stuff is, we see most of the usage on a browser. Something that we've talked a lot about internally, actually. But one of the things that I wanted to add color on, I think really the simplification of things is so important. A lot of the softwares that we've seen in the space, like, they're trying to layer on as much data as possible with the belief that people just want all data. And I think that's not necessarily what people want. People want that to be abstracted away, that complexity, to have information that's really easy to access. And we have a user research team internally at Logixboard, and kind of one of their key priorities is to consistently be talking to shippers, to importers and exporters, trying to understand what their pain points are and how do we surface information and give them solutions to make their business a lot easier and a lot smoother. So customer experience and making things as simple as possible is kind of at the crux of what we believe in, along with deep integrations into operating systems so that we don't have to disrupt the internal workflows of operators and we can get our customers up and running really quickly. So that definitely resonated, Mike.
And are there any language barriers, issues around international use of the Logixboard solution?
Yeah, today we are a platform that's in English. It seems to have worked really well for us, frankly. I mean, we have, again, as I mentioned, customers in 17 different countries. I think right now, almost every single continent, and it's worked well for us. That being said, localization towards the future is definitely something that we are thinking about as we continue to expand and grow the business.
And how are you able to service all these territories remotely, or do you need a physical presence in them to reach out?
Yeah, today, so the company today is fully remote, actually, but actually everybody is in the Americas today. We are starting to think about opening up offices in Europe and in Australia specifically. We've been able to provide really, really great support to all folks, kind of regardless of geography from the US. But as we continue to grow and as we continue to, I think in today's world where people are starting to get back out there and seeing people and going to conferences and meeting in person, definitely thinking about hiring internationally so that we can continue to establish relationships and build kind of a great experience for our customers across the board.
Throwing over to Mike now, and maybe just a little bit of a slightly offbeat question. These are challenging times to do business, probably even more so in the UK, and probably even more so in freight forwarding. How are you finding working life post Brexit, and how has the Logixboard solution helped you sort of steer through those choppy waters?
Yeah, great question.
Hard question.
It's definitely a challenging environment. One of the things that drew me to Corten to begin with was Corten's willingness to offer very bespoke, tailored solutions to a lot of our clients. We offer end-to-end solutions, and because of that, we get a very in-depth understanding of our clients' needs. So we do have very good channels of communication with them. To say, I can tell you what's going to happen in a week or in a month, I would be anyone's guess. All we can do in times of flux is give people access to accurate information as quickly as we can. And going back to Logixboard, I mean, even if it's bad information's more important to have updated immediately. So quite often we can have someone working in a different time zone updating shipments, so my customers worldwide can log in and get access to that information as soon as that system is updated. So they can know, I can know through Logixboard before I've checked my operating system if something's changed overnight because someone in my back of office has updated it, and given my clients that slight edge to react to something maybe a little bit quicker than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And that has been a benefit.
Would you also, Julian, view Brexit as an opportunity to expand your influence, your customer base, at least in the sort of UK and Western Europe?
Yeah, certainly. I think I can't imagine how difficult it is to be in your position today, Mike. Like, there is so much disruption happening in supply chain right now. It's in a constant state of disarray, right? And you have Brexit, and you have the pandemic, and you have bottlenecks in a lot of different ports globally. Like, there is so much happening right now that is affecting the supply chain so deeply. I think it's in that state of chaos where we can really help our customers shine, right? It's in that state of chaos that people actually need to know where their stuff is. They need to know what's happening because that's how they plan their business. So definitely, as you know, with Brexit, with supply chain disruptions, I think we are really helping companies deliver a better experience and keep their customers up to date, so that they can have an extra edge in managing their business. So I definitely think that there's an opportunity there. It's quite challenging because it's really difficult for a lot of people. And when we talk to freight forwarding companies, they are so busy and so overwhelmed with everything that they have to do internally. So we understand it's a really difficult time, but it's also a time to invest into delivering the best experience possible and really focusing on your customers so that you can make them successful as well. So while it's been a challenge, it's given us a really big opportunity to to grow the business and to help our customers, which is not something that you ever want, but definitely opportunities for us to, continue to increase our footprint.
So Mike, has the sort of the whole Brexit scenario, was that one of the catalysts for you to move towards adopting the Logixboard solution? And have you now kind of now you're all up and running with it? Have you got your eye on sort of expanding the business, knowing that that element of it has been taken care of?
I definitely have the confidence, and when I look to acquire a new customer, knowing that I have an interface, a mechanism that they're going to love. I haven't come across a customer yet who hasn't been blown away by the interface when I show them. We being quite heavily in the e-commerce world, we have been looking for ways to innovate for some time. And I mean, Brexit has certainly put a little bit more pressure on, as I'm sure it has everyone else working in the UK. So we are in constant talks with Logixboard with suggestions on how we think it can be improved. And Logixboard has been very open to a lot of our suggestions and helped us implement a few things, which was what really drew us to Logixboard to begin with. As Julian touched on, it wasn't a matter of here's our product, it's this box, you fit in this box. It's let's listen to you, what can we value add, where can we improve? So to say that the toughest days are behind us with Brexit, and I'm sure that there's not going to be a new challenge around the corner tomorrow would be a lie, but knowing the technology I have at my disposal and the fact that the product relies heavily upon my team and my data and the integrity of information that we put in it fills me with confidence that Julian's side of it is spot on. So I just have to make my side of it spot on, and then we're in as good a place as we can be to tackle what comes next.
I may be wrong, but I've got the impression you two may have never physically met before.
Correct.
One of you could be very tall and the other could be very short. It could be awkward. Now, I understand there might be...
You asked me about us being able to service our customers remotely. I think the first customer I met actually our third customer in person for the first time 2 weeks ago. So because of the pandemic, I think just meeting people physically has been so challenging, right? But I'm hoping that we're able to meet in person soon. I can definitely tell you I'll be shorter than what you expect me to be. So let's see.
I understand there's an opportunity coming up in June. Julian, you'll be exhibiting at the Multimodal exhibition in Birmingham, June 14th to 16th. You're going to be there in person?
I am. So we will be in Dublin the week before for a WCA conference, and then we're going to be at the Multimodal conference the 14th through the 16th. We'll be there in person, and hopefully I'm able to jump on a flight and be able to see Mike as well in person. That would be fun.
You'll see me up in Birmingham.
Even better.
Multimodal.
Even better.
Great. Offline, I'll recommend a couple of bars for that.
Oh,
excellent.
How do you service your stand? How do you service your booth at Multimodal? It's a difficult product to display and demonstrate. Will you have a sort of a working interface there, Julian?
We will. So we'll have a booth there. It is a very simple product for us to be able to show, actually. The product is super simple. So we'll definitely have a booth. We'll have a big part of our team there, being able to support our existing customers, meeting people in person, but also people that are interested in seeing what we're doing and what we can offer. We'll definitely be able to do kind of demos and show what we have as a company.
Great. I encourage everyone to go along and speak with you, anyone with such a need. So we're coming to the end of the webinar. I'd like to thank you both very much for your participation and your honest and thorough answers. I think, as always in these cases, I think we should sort of give the last word to the customer. So I'm going to just throw over to you, Mike, to conclude. Perhaps you can just sum up your journey with Logixboard, some of the takeaways that you have for anyone such as businesses such as yours who are looking to maybe digitize their operations using Logixboard.
Sure. Look, change is always scary. Fortune favors the brave. It's the implementation of Logixboard was a very straightforward process for me. Selling the benefits to my clients who are reluctant to try something new has been an ongoing process. As soon as I have the opportunity to really get through to them and to show them the benefits, they never look back. And it has been an incredibly powerful tool for retaining business. The support has been great, and Julian and his team, Jen in particular, my contact, has made the process just a walk in the park.
Fantastic. I think that's an excellent point on which to end our webinar. Once again, I thank you both for taking part, and best of luck to Corten Logistics, best of luck to Logixboard in future business. Thank you both very much indeed.
Peter, thank you so much. Mike, thank you so much. I'll see you in Birmingham.
See you in Birmingham, Julian, and thank you for your time, Peter.
Thank you.